The ocean breeze carried a calm silence that evening. The waves crashed gently along the golden sand of Waikiki. As the sun began to dip beneath the horizon, V stood there alone, his phone in hand, eyes lost somewhere between the sea and the sky. The world saw his smile, but what they didn't see was the storm behind it. He pressed record. "Hey, Jungkook," his voice trembled, soft yet full of weight. "I don't even know how to say this, but I needed to tell you." Every word he spoke seemed to dissolve into the sound of the ocean. It wasn't just another message. It was a confession he'd been holding in for too long. A piece of his heart sealed within that voice note, now floating in the digital air. Hours later, thousands of miles away, Jungkook sat in his studio, unaware of what was coming. His phone buzzed with a single notification. It was from V. He smiled at first, expecting a light-hearted note, maybe a joke, maybe a song idea. But the moment he hit play, everything changed. V's voice filled the room, deep and emotional. His tone carried memories, laughter, tears, years of friendship, and something unspoken that neither of them had ever dared to say out loud. By the time the message ended, Jungkook wasn't smiling anymore. His eyes glistened, his chest heavy. He tried to speak, but words wouldn't come. Only silence. "Why did you say it like that, Hyung?" he whispered, voice breaking. The camera that had been recording behind him, meant for his vlog, accidentally caught it all. The trembling hands, the cracked voice, the moment his walls fell apart. The clip was never meant to be seen, but somehow it was. It started with a whisper. A single clip, less than 30 seconds long, quietly uploaded to a private fan account. No one knew who posted it or how they got it. But within minutes, it was everywhere. The screen showed Jungkook, eyes red, shoulders trembling, the faint sound of V's voice echoing through the room. It wasn't clear what the message said, but the emotion was unmistakable. "Why did you say it like that, Hyung?" That one line spread like wildfire. Armies flooded the internet, trying to piece together the truth. Was it real? Was it recent? Some said it was from V's trip to Hawaii. Others believed it was something much deeper, something that had been building between them for years. Meanwhile, Jungkook sat alone in his studio, unaware of the storm outside. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing, notifications, messages, calls. He didn't want to look. He didn't want to see what the world was saying. When V called that night, Jungkook didn't answer. Not because he was angry, but because he didn't know what to say. The voice note wasn't supposed to be heard by anyone else. It was meant to stay between them, private, sacred, and yet millions had already listened. Hours later, V's staff found him on the balcony of his hotel in Hawaii. The city lights glowed softly below as he stared into the night, a cigarette burning low between his fingers. His phone buzzed again, Jungkook's name flashing on the screen. This time he hesitated. Then he answered. "Hyung, everyone knows now." Jungkook's voice cracked, heavy with emotion. "I didn't want them to find out like this." V closed his eyes, breathing in the sound of Jungkook's voice. For a moment, there were no words, just the silence between them, a silence that said more than any apology ever could. "Maybe," V finally whispered. It was time they knew the truth. The line went quiet. The ocean roared in the distance, and somewhere between Seoul and Hawaii, two hearts broke quietly under the same sky. The following days felt endless. Social media was a storm, theories, reactions, edits, and heartbreak spread across every corner of the internet. Fans cried, argued, defended. The words V's confession trended worldwide for 3 days straight. But behind the screens, silence filled the space between V and Jungkook, and no messages. No calls. No explanations. Until the day of the live broadcast. Bigot had planned it weeks before. A casual Q&A with the members. Neither of them asked to cancel, even though both silently wished someone would. When Jungkook walked into the studio, the cameras were already on. His hands fidgeted beneath the table, the nervous habit he'd tried to hide for years. Across from him sat V, calm on the outside, but his eyes, they carried the weight of sleepless nights. The chat was flooding. "Are you two okay? Was it real? What did V say in the note?" For a while they avoided it. They talked about travel, food, music, anything but that. Until the producer signaled a question that appeared on screen. "Taeyong, Jungkook. Everyone's been talking about the Hawaii message. Do you want to say something about it?" The air froze. Even the sound engineer stopped moving. Jungkook looked up first. His lips parted, then pressed shut again. V kept his gaze low, fingers tapping nervously against the table. Then softly Jungkook spoke. "I don't think anyone will really understand what that message meant to us," he said. His voice was steady, but his eyes weren't. It wasn't a performance. It wasn't meant for views. It was just real. V lifted his head then, meeting Jungkook's eyes for the first time since that night. There was no anger, no blame, only honesty. "I said what I needed to say," V added quietly. "And maybe the world wasn't supposed to hear it, but I don't regret it." For a few seconds they just looked at each other. The kind of look that carried years of laughter, struggle, and unspoken truths. The chat exploded. "They're crying. Oh my god, look at Jungkook. This is real." A single tear slipped down Jungkook's cheek as he whispered, almost to himself, "You always know how to make me cry, Hyung." V smiled faintly, eyes glassy. "Only because I tell the truth." And in that fragile moment, live, raw, and unscripted, the world saw them not as idols, but as two people bound by something far deeper than fame. It was past midnight when Jungkook showed up at V's apartment, and no cameras. No staff. No stage lights. Just the soft hum of Seoul outside, and the faint glow of the city bleeding through the curtains. V opened the door before Jungkook could even knock twice. Neither of them spoke for a moment, they just stood there. The silence heavier than any words they could have prepared. Jungkook's hoodie was soaked from the drizzle outside, his hair a mess. V reached for a towel, quietly handing it to him, pretending not to notice the way Jungkook's hands trembled. He didn't need to ask why Jungkook was there, he already knew. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," Jungkook said finally, voice hoarse. "When it leaked, I froze. I didn't know how to protect you. Or us." V shook his head softly. "You don't have to protect me, Jungkook. You never did. I just wanted to be honest, at least once." Jungkook looked up, eyes filled with 100 unspoken questions. "Then tell me, Hyung, why did you say it like that? Why did it sound like goodbye?" V turned toward the window, his reflection merging with the city lights. "Because in a way it was." The words landed like thunder, quiet but devastating. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "That trip to Hawaii wasn't just a vacation. I went there to think about everything, the group, the future, us. I didn't know what would happen next, but I needed you to know how I felt before anything changed." Jungkook swallowed hard. His chest felt tight, his heartbeat loud in the silence. "So the confession, it was real?" V turned back to him, eyes steady and glimmering with honesty. Every word. Something inside Jungkook broke and healed. All at once he stepped closer, close enough to feel the warmth of V's breath, close enough to see the tears he'd been hiding. "You idiot," Jungkook whispered, his voice cracking. "You think you can just drop something like that and walk away?" V let out a soft laugh, the kind that carried both pain and affection. "I never walked away, Jungkook. I just waited for you to come back." And then there was silence again, but this time it wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. Jungkook reached out and pulled him into a hug, quiet, trembling, real. For the first time in weeks, neither of them had to hide. Outside, the rain softened to a mist, and the city seemed to exhale with them. Two hearts, once torn apart by distance and misunderstanding, finally beat in rhythm again. The morning came too quickly. By the time the first rays of sunlight crept through the window, V and Jungkook were still awake, sitting quietly on the couch, their empty mugs of tea forgotten on the table. The city outside was waking up, unaware that inside this small apartment, the world of two people had already changed. But peace never lasted long. Jungkook's phone buzzed first. Dozens of messages from the label, the members, and his manager. Then V's phone lit up too, notifications flooding in faster than either of them could read. The headlines had exploded overnight. V and Jungkook's Hawaii confession. What really happened behind the scenes? Fans divided after emotional broadcast. Was it a love confession? BTS members silent as speculations grow. Social media was burning. Some defended them with love and empathy, saying they were just human, emotional, vulnerable, real. Others twisted the story, turning it into rumors and noise. Jungkook turned off his phone, his jaw tense. They're never going to stop talking, are they? V leaned back, staring at the ceiling. No, but that's not what hurts the most. Then what does? V's voice dropped low. That they're talking about us but not to us. No one asked what it meant. They just decided for us. Silence. Jungkook's fingers tightened around the edge of his sleeve, his throat burning with the same helplessness that had followed him since that night. He turned to V, his eyes fierce but soft. Then let's tell them the truth. Not the version they made up, ours. V studied him for a long moment. There was courage in Jungkook's eyes, the same courage that had once made him jump on stage, face thousands, and sing like no one was watching. You really want to do that? V asked. Once it's out there, there's no taking it back. Jungkook nodded. If we hide, they'll keep writing their own story. I want them to hear ours from us. V exhaled slowly, then smiled. Not the bright stage smile fans knew, but something quieter, genuine. Then we'll face it together. That afternoon, they walked into the company office side by side. The staff fell silent as the two of them entered. Not out of judgment but awe. They looked tired, maybe even scared, but there was something powerful in their calmness. They sat down before the cameras once again. Not as performers this time, but as themselves. The live began. Millions were already watching. The comments flooded instantly. They're here. What will they say? Please tell us the truth. V spoke first. We've seen what's been said. We know what people think. But what you heard wasn't a scandal, it was real emotion. It was friendship. It was honesty. Jungkook added, his voice steady but full of feeling. That message wasn't a secret anymore. It became something that reminded us who we are. People who feel, who cry, who care for each other. The chat slowed. The noise softened for a moment. It felt like the world stopped just to listen. They didn't owe anyone an explanation, but they gave one anyway because that's what truth does. It sets you free. When the live ended, neither of them said a word. Jungkook just looked at V and V smiled, that same small, knowing smile from the night before. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside,